Okay, so you want to learn how to draw anime art. You don't have to look any further than this video. I'm going to sort you out. Let me plug you. But first, before we do anything, I just want to thank the sponsor of this video, my Patreons. The awesome people that support me and get full access to my anatomy sketches, my tutorials, my high-res artworks, and much more. Feel free to check it out in the link in the description. But anyways, anime art. It has exploded recently. And by recently, I mean in the last decade or so. And with any other art style, not just anime art, if you want to get good at it, you gotta practice. But how do we even determine what we should be practicing? Should you be learning how to put down really articulate brushstrokes? Or perhaps you should be learning how to brutally organize patterns and shapes in a way that maybe make you look a bit off in the head. Or maybe, just maybe, you should tape a banana to a wall. What are the techniques you should learn to get good at anime? Well, you kind of do need to learn all these things, but also not really. You see, when it comes to expression in an artistic manner, there is no boundary. It is a way to represent and express anything. However, we can organize these means of expressions into different categories. We just call these categories art styles. And art styles are just a way to represent things that we see in real life, stylistically. Hence the name, obviously. It is a spectrum. On one end, we can have these really simplistic chibi style drawings, or we can have hyper-realistic anime artwork. It is just a scale going from really complicated forms and lighting to really damn simple. And your art style will sit somewhere on this scale. But the style that we are talking about today is the anime art style. And we can narrow down what you should be learning by looking at what techniques are traditionally practiced within anime art. These techniques that I'm referring to are, of course, the fundamentals. But let's do something different. Let's not dwell on those too much. I know you're here to have fun making art, and sometimes that boring stuff can suck the life out of learning how to draw. But just to go over the ones you should focus on very briefly, we have line art, perspective, form, anatomy, value, color theory, and shapes. It's not a whole bunch, really. Let's just start off with line art. Line art is important because within traditional anime style artwork, lines are predominantly used to represent shapes over values. Values are more prominent within painting, but lines can replace brushstrokes and values if you use them correctly, such as cross-hatching, which is a great way to show light and shadow, directional hatching, which is a type of hatching I don't actually hear about often, but it is a technique of line placement that follows the form of an object. It is a great way to show depth. So now we can move on to perspective. And perspective just allows us to place objects within a 3D space. Cubes are going to be the main shape that we're using. Why cubes? Well, because they have few planes and boxes are pretty cool. There are 5 different types of perspective, 1 through 5 point perspective. And each one suggests how many conversion points there are. 1 has 1 point, 2 has 2 points, 3 has 3 points.
6.5 hours later.
Yeah, I think you get it. But 1 through 3 are the most common within the anime art style. So now that you understand perspective, we can move on to form. And form is what is going to represent the surface of an object. It is what will reveal which planes hit the light and which planes are in shadow. This is really important for placing shadows because we can determine what our shadow shapes will be based on the form of the object. So now that you understand form, we can move on to anatomy, because anatomy is just a bunch of shapes connecting with one another. But yeah, anatomy is kind of self-explanatory. It is how the human body interconnects, and pushing anatomy is what really matters. It's making the shapes work for the character that you're drawing. Is the character a strong man? Well, he probably won't look like this then. Although, saying that, there are some characters out there who really defy the laws of physics. And now we can move on to value. And value simply refers to what areas are light and what areas are dark. If you want to really get into it though, it's more about how light are the light areas and how dark are the dark areas, and what is the contrast between them all. So if you understand that, then you understand that grouping values is key. However, with anime art, it is more often than not cel-shaded, which is a one-tone shadow. But if you're trying to get all fancy and painterly with it, then midtones and transition colors can be useful when learning to render detailed anime artwork. And if you understand value, then you can move on to color theory, because it doesn't really matter what colors you pick as long as your values are correct. But color theory is a whole spectrum. I could deadass make a 10-year course on this topic and still not even cover half of it. But the main point is, learn what colors are warm and what colors are cool, and whether you should make your shadows warm and your light cool, or vice versa. There are some real simple rules with color theory, like complementary colors, analogous colors, things like this, but it's really not that important. Just make sure your values are right and you'll be sorted. And lastly, we are going to move on to shapes. Yeah, shapes. And if you're a complete beginner, you're probably looking at this video like, dude, are we in preschool? Why am I trying to learn what a triangle is? Well, if you keep digging a bit deeper into art learning, you're going to find that shapes are very important. See, shape theory and shape language are just design principles. Everything is a shape. The shadows that you put down are shapes. Biceps are shapes. Your mum is a shape. Everything. Just learn to utilize them correctly and you'll be good to go. I think. I don't know. But whatever. When you've got all these things down, all of these fundamentals, or even if you're just starting out with learning them, it doesn't really matter, because you can still approach learning anime art all the same, and that is just through studying, the same way you learn anything. See, anime art is a massive spectrum, and it is easy to get lost in how you're trying to develop your own art style. But regardless of what style you're trying to choose, if you're getting your fundamental practice right, then you're going to make great pieces of art either way. And because the anime art style is so vast, it is hard to pick one particular way to draw things. There are a million ways to draw different types of anime eyes, hair, mouths, noses, etc. But anime artists do share some commonality, and that commonality is the way that they do their proportions. The things that they do to the proportions can make their art style look more anime-esque. And the most common looking anime proportions, the most ideal ones, often look something like this. Oh wait, no. Okay, that's not it, hang on. Okay, like this. Big eyes, small nose, small mouth, big hair. And their bodies are often kinda realistic, unless it's a girl. Their necks are incredibly thin. You thought I was gonna say something else, didn't you? Dirty. So now I suppose I've given you the tools you need to get out there and start drawing anime art. Simply just look at anime and how different manga artists draw their work, and you'll soon see that there is often a correlation between the features. And the correlation is that the main focus is always centered around the eyes, the window to our soul. The outline of the eyes are simple. They are represented with basic lines and shapes, very stylized. The irises, on the other hand, they tend to be not so simple. Well, actually, it kind of depends, but the shapes used to represent anime eyes often follow that of a rhombus, and they work around this shape. You can choose to round them out for more innocent or feminine looking characters, or make them more rigid and slim for more masculine or dangerous looking characters. It's all about what aesthetics and shapes you want to use. Next time you see a work that you really like and it makes you stop scrolling, look at the shapes that the artist has used and what makes it unique. Learn from it and apply it to your work. And so, if you are trying to take and steal the things that you like from all of these different anime artists, you're already doing the right thing. You are observing, and that is the best way to learn how to do anything. And that isn't any different from learning how to do anime art. Just look at how the pros are doing their work and copy it. How are they drawing the eyes? Do you like how they draw them? Cool. Now copy them until you can do that and incorporate it into your own anime art style. Here are some of my favorite artists that I study from when I'm doing my anime-inspired artworks. And that is really all you need to know. I know that this is kind of a just draw type of video, but that's all it really is at the end of the day. You just have to find the style that you like, find what artists are drawing in that style, and then copy them. Steal how they draw different features, different aspects of their drawing, and just apply it to your drawings the next time you do them. And if you're looking for more specific, in-depth lessons and videos on how to draw very specific features or parts of anime art that might help you, go and check out my Patreon, check out my other videos, like, subscribe, comment what you want to see next, and as always, draw, and have lots of fun. Peace!